I find it strange what I remember and what I have forgotten from the day leading up to it. My memory and mind definitely isn't what it used to be, but that's to be expected. It's probably best I just start from the beginning. I remember the day starting out pretty much like any other. I probably hit my snooze button to sleep in an extra 10 minutes. I put on the same pair of dress pants as the day before and a dress shirt I can't remember the color of. I ate a bowl of cereal with a sliced up banana. It snowed on my way to work despite being relatively warm just the other day. Pretty typical Canadian weather, honestly. It just ends up feeling like a tease when the temperature raises and then drops by 20 degrees in less than a week. At least my walk wasn't far, since we all lived and worked on the same complex. I've forgotten what the nickname we gave it was, but officially we were simply called Station 4. It was a small Arctic research station in the middle of the Canadian Yukon, funded by a handful of different countries. We had less than 45 people working there, but the complex seemed needlessly large to me. It only had 4 proper buildings, but 2 of them were the size of a large grocery store, and they were spaced out half a kilometer apart. I really wish I had known and could tell you more of what happened there, but I was simply a maintenance guy. So much was going on there, apparently, and all I was told to worry about were the light bulbs and plumbing. About 2/3 of the complex's floor space was off-limits anyway, mostly segments of the 2 large buildings and a few rooms in the others. That sure made my job easier, and at the time, I felt like I had lucked into a good-paying job, so I sure wasn't going to push it, despite being curious about it. After my short but cold walk to one of those buildings, I signed in and read the list of assignments for the day. Fix this, paint that, replace something else. The ground shook just as I finished reading the list. That seemed to happen around here from time to time. I asked a superior about it shortly after the first time I felt it happen, and was told it's natural and common. It was definitely happening more often at that point, though. Grabbing my supply cart, I went off to what I considered to be my priority for the day, replacing one of the fluorescent light bulbs from the break room. While finishing up that job, one of my superiors, I think it was the same one I asked about the ground shaking, barged in. He demanded to know how a civilian managed to call the complex and ask for me by name. When I tried to tell him I had no idea what he was talking about, I was fired on the spot. He radioed for something I can't recall, and 2 men came in to escort me back to my bunk room. I was told to stay there until someone came to get me. Unsure of what really just happened or what to do, I packed up what little of mine I had, cried in the shower for a little while, and laid in my bunk. After a while, I drifted off to sleep, until woken up by another one of those fucking earth shakes. At least I won't miss those, I convinced myself. I continued to lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how much longer I would have to wait there. When suddenly I felt another shake, followed by a loud ripping sound, and suddenly I was surrounded by black and was no longer in my bunk. I was floating in darkness. I panicked, flailing around in this large empty void. I managed to turn myself around, and I saw what looked like a distorted circular view of the space off in the distance. I squinted my eyes and saw hundreds of stars in that distorted circle. It was getting smaller, though, or it was getting further away from me. What once took up almost a quarter of my field of view was definitely shrinking. I just stared at it for a little while as it shrunk smaller and smaller. I felt lost, confused, scared. I saw nothingness in every direction except for the now small window of stars. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my lips. I tried to move, but was only able to flail around and rotate myself in this void. I was either unable to move closer to the light, or we were moving too far away from each other. I felt a sense of defeat wash over me. I turned my body away from the fleck of light and let my body go limp. I drifted there for a long time in that void. I spent lifetimes there. Lifetimes spent wondering where I was. After spending that much time pondering one question, it just sort of comes to you. I was in a black hole. I was certain of it. I was able to make my peace with the fact, though. A lifetime in the void did not feel like a lifetime before it. My body never aged or ached or hungered or needed rest. It just floated there in the void while I seemingly had an eternity to myself. It's funny what the mind can convince you is okay after it realizes there's no way out. I wish that was the case with the pain, though. It started at the bottom of my feet. I don't know how to describe it other than it felt like my nerves were being crushed continuously. It was excruciating. I never got used to the pain. It very slowly moved up through my body. Very slowly. When things take that slow, you can no longer estimate how long it took. How many lifetimes was I in pain for? I don't know. It felt like an eternity, and it literally could have been for the rest of eternity. That was right up until now, anyway. I awoke again this morning after my eternity in that black hole. It almost feels as if everything leading up to now has been a dream, but I know that's not true. I'm no longer the maintenance guy I once was. I'm now a 20-something Russian man. I don't speak the language, but had enough rubles in this man's pocket to pay for a long-distance call, some time at a cyber cafe, and some vodka. When in Rome, eh? See, for today is the same day that I got fired. I tried to call the complex I had worked at from a payphone and, protect myself, I guess, but was immediately hung up on and blocked. It should be less than 12 hours now until that black hole reappears, and I know it doesn't care if I'm in Russia or not. It's not going to matter where you are, and I'm sure as hell not going to be around to let it put me through that again.